the ball slipping out of his grasp. There's the scoreline. West Coast by a goal. They lead 3-4-22. Carlton at 2-4-16 at quarter time.
Do you reckon you know your footy? Well, now is your chance to prove it. And you could win up to $1,000 thanks to Optus Mobile. Just send us an SMS text message to 0421 999 with your name and the name of the player you think will score the first goal in the third quarter of today's game. If your winning entry is drawn, you will win $500. Simple as that. And if you're an Optus Mobile customer, we'll give you a $500 bonus, taking your total earnings today to $1,000. The SMS message needs to be sent again to 0421 999 and don't forget the entries close at the end of the second quarter. Storming through the midfield, out on his own, looking good. What a goal from that. The loose ball bounces into the middle. The pass emerges over the footy. What a goal from that.
Loyalty is a soul causes. And if you don't get it, why can't you make it? Call 133 Iron Ready and discover what it should be.
The Blue Boys, the official history of the Carlton Football Club book, was officially launched last Thursday, and it is the most comprehensive publication any football club ever produced.
Welcome back to Optus Oval at quarter time. The West Coast Eagles have a one-goal lead. Goal scorers for the respective teams, Camperelli and Beaumont, one apiece. Williams has a couple for West Coast, and big Quentin Lynch in his first game with his first kick has scored his first goal in AFL football as Ryan Houlihan looks on, and just behind him is another Houlihan. A couple of the clan there, gentlemen.
One to come too.
There's four,
that young boy, it's Josh, isn't it, Tony? St Kilda, I think.
As we look at Simon Beaumont here, and we thought this ball touched the ground, but he did mark it with his knee, so pretty skillful there. And this is a great goal by Andrew Williams, because that handball, that was a hospital handball, as they call them in the old days, kept his eye on the ball, so congratulations to him there. And big Quentin Lynch, he is built like the proverbial, isn't he, Robbo? But gee, that is a great kick. Your first game of league football, fantastic first goal for him. Scott Camperelli, he was been playing on Ben Cousins, so Ben Cousins has to put some time into him now, because they had to have Drew Banfield on Camperelli, but they dropped that tag. So fantastic. We can see the centre bounces there for love Carlton's way. didn't show up until the last part of the quarter where they started to get a bit of dominance around the centre of the ground. And I thought Jimmy Plunkett was brilliant in some of those clearances out of the centre bounces.
Yes, and in that matchup you talked about, Cousins and Camporelli, 8-4 in the possessions. Scott Camporelli's 8, Cousins 4.
And with a goal, so that makes another 4 or 5 possessions you put on top of that.
Yes, and from the point of view of the inside 50s, Carlton have been inside 50 13 times and the West Coast 10, but yet the West Coast just 6-point leaders. Wayne Britton
I think that
holding the group for quite a while.
Yeah, I think that dominance into this 50 would have been the last 5 to 10 minutes. I thought Carlton dominated the game after the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, certainly did. There was a lot of momentum swinging towards them before quarter time.
Well, this looks like it'll be a fine for the Blues, not getting in positions by the time the siren goes.
That's a disappointment, though, for the Blues. That's the story from the first quarter. Corey McKernan, as you can see, with his left knee, with a heavy ice pack on his left knee. What have you made of the Beaumont up forward? He's been pretty dangerous.
Yeah, he's pretty lively as Robbo. Thanks to Robbo for that memory about him kicking 8 goals in a Collingwood game. But yes, look, he can be lively and he does give you a contest.
Let's go to Francis Leach. He's with Ross Lyon from Carlton.
Ross, you had a quick talk to Brendan Favola just as you ran off the ground there. What were you talking about?
I just thought about Andrew Marrington, our ruckman, allow him to get back in the hole when held up outside 50. He's got to push up and cover their ruckman, so it's something pretty simple. Yeah.
And quickly, Corey McKernan, is he able to come out again after quarter time?
He just sort of tweaked his knee a little bit, so they're just going to review it as the quarter unfolds.
Thanks.
Livingston going to Embley once again. The Eagles, and just when you thought the West Coast were going to dominate this quarter, they got out to a 4-goal lead. But similar to the first quarter, where Carlton have switched the momentum, they kicked the last 3 goals in the quarter. Camporelli has got a couple for Carlton, and they're certainly right back in this match at Optus Oval. They've lost Corey McKernan, but they're getting plenty out of their youngsters. At half-time here, West Coast 7-8, leading Carlton 6-9 by 5 points.
Just let you know that Francis Leach is on wide. Thanks.
I'll tell you what, they're running on empty up there. They really need some fresh legs. And here they are. What a Carlton back.
Straight at the top with that.
Yeah, so
Terrible. What's the story?
Loyalty is the second closest.
And welcome back to Optus Oval at half-time with the West Coast Eagles leading by 5 points. A good surge by Carlton in the latter half of that second quarter. Camperelli has 2 for Carlton, singles to Whitnall, Mansfield, Merrington and Beaumont. Williams has a couple for West Coast and singles to the rest of the players. So an interesting game here. Hasn't been dynamic, but certainly from the point of view of Carlton, they're right back in it, looking for their second win. One player who would love to be out there, and he's certainly watching very keenly this afternoon, is Matthew Allen. And Robbo has wandered down to the boundary. He's with him right now.
Well, Matthew, one of the injured Blues, how are you travelling at the moment? You look quite restricted, the crutches and the leg all bandaged up. How are things travelling?
Yeah, I'm going well, thanks, Robbo. I saw the surgeon during the week and he's really happy with my progress. I had an operation about 6.5 weeks ago. And yeah, they're really happy with it. I think I get rid of the crutches next week, so yeah, it's going really well.
Well, that's a positive sign. Get rid of those crutches,
yeah,
when you can walk around on your own 2 feet. But look, the fact that you haven't won a game since the grand victory against the Magpies, how's the spirit around the place? I mean, you can get down, your backsides can drag along the ground. How's the spirit?
Yeah, look, Robbo, it's been really hard. You know, obviously only having one win, it makes it pretty tough. And, you know, the guys have really stuck together. Last week was, you know, pretty heartbreaking. But, you know, look, we've tried to do a lot of things during the week, like stick together and play a bit of golf and, you know, lighten it up a bit. And, you know, look, the guys are going really well today, so hopefully we get over the line.
One really bright thing as far as I'm concerned watching on, and I'm sure it's something that most of the veterans appreciate, is the emergence of youth, and when the youth is given a chance, what it can do. Livingston, Merrington, etc., Davies, Campbell, etc., Wiggins.
Yeah, well, we're looking in one part of the first quarter, we had about 230 games of experience down there, and Mackay had played about 220 of them. So, you know, look, it's a good sign for the club, and it augurs well for the future. You know, look, we've got a lot of great young kids, and it's exciting times from that regard.
I watched Stephen Silvani. I know he's doing a media job, but I saw him in the coach's box. Does he play a role with the likes of Livingston?
Yeah, look, he's been really good. He comes down the club all the time and joins in training, helps out with the kids. You know, he's only too happy to hand on his advice. So, you know, look, it's great to have Sauce around the club whenever he's down here.
Well, Matthew, it's great to talk to you. And the next time I'm speaking to you, let's hope the crutches are gone, that foot's in working order, and you're out there playing.
That's right, Robbo.
Well, folks, down here on the boundary line, we'll have some more information for you after this short break.
So, Libidinius.
Yep. Actually, yeah, Matthew, yep.
You can hear me all right?
Who's talking now, guys?
That's Matty.
Matty, yep.
So we've got Brett, have we?
Sorry, no, Brett Hetty, no.
No.
Not yet. I'm not sure where he's supposed to come from. I guess he'll be in the rooms, mate.
Okay.
West Coast.
Do we have any highlights to chuck in, Trace, if we're caught without Brett? Tony and I can... Tony?
Look, Camperelli. 20 lead and then go to
You jump all over the place, don't you, then?
Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Speaking with Brett Heady down on the boundary line. It's an interesting game, only a goal in it.
Not very interesting, mate. We'd rather be 10 in front, that's for sure.
Well, you haven't had a lot of success here. You've suffered a couple of thumpings. I can remember Kudafides took you apart one day. Yes, Trace, yep. Throw to the break, yep.
Yes.
No, yeah. Just go, Robbo.
Yep.
Just let Robbo go.
So no
Just
questions
go,
from
Robbo,
upstairs?
No, that's fine.
No questions. No questions from upstairs, righto. Righto.
Half-time here at West Coast at Optus Oval. West Coast with a 5-point lead, so they're looking for some success away from Subiaco. And Williams and Camporelli are the only multiple goal scorers for either side. They had plenty of success in the early 90s, particularly in 1992. It was their first premiership, and their premiership player and their runner, Brett Heady, is with Robbo.
Well, thanks, Matthew. Brett, it's certainly a role that is a good one for you, having been a former player, member of both of those great West Coast Eagles teams, and you're doing a job helping out one of your old teammates, Johnny Worsfold.
Absolutely. I mean, it was just a terrific opportunity to get down and get involved with the club, and it is a fairly young club with only a few experienced guys left, so it's been terrific from that side.
Now, while we've got this opportunity, you are having a reunion of the 1992 Premiership team 10 years ago, and Mick Malthouse, Robert Wiley, and all the players from that match are going to be present. So you'd like to give that a bit of a plug. I believe there's a big function in Perth.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to imagine that it's 10 years gone by. Life goes pretty quick, doesn't it? But next Friday we've got a luncheon on. I believe there's only about 500 tickets available, of which about 450 are sold already. So there's only 50 tickets left in, which is terrific. And it's, I think it's $150 a head. All the players are going to be there. Malthouse is coming over for it. Rob Wiley's going to be there, and very much looking forward to getting back into it and having a couple of quiet beers.
Is there another premiership team in the making here? I mean, I spoke with Matthew Allen about the emergence of youth, the young players coming through. Gee whiz, we were very impressed with Lynch, that first goal that he kicked in AFL footy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a big key to Woosh's success this year. He's given some young guys a chance, given them the responsibility, and that's where the future of our club lies. So, it's hard to say that there's a premiership around the corner, but we'd certainly like to win one, that's for sure.
Now, you said you're going a little bit hoarse. How are you received out there? You were on the other end of it. You were getting instructions not that long ago from a runner. How do the players respond to your instructions from the coach?
Yeah, I'd say 95% of them are spot on. Blokes like Jakovic and Matera, it's pretty hard getting through to those blokes, mate, but the rest of the blokes are terrific, and and as I said, it's just a great role for me. Well, those older blokes coach themselves, basically, don't they? And you were one of those not so long ago. I'm not sure about coach themselves, mate, but anyway, I mean, they're doing a great job. They've played good footy this year, which is good. Well, this game is still very much in the balance. Right now, the Eagles hold the ascendancy. We'll be back with all the third quarter action after this short break.
Hello. Tox, Francis here. How are you?
Come on and pop big Matty Allen.
Yeah, right in the foot of some kids sort of like
crutch
might
out.
just go.
Take the crutch out.
This weekend is Kids Carlton's annual radiothon, which will raise money for its National Counselling Service for Kids. Each week, 10,000 kids contact the Kids Helpline, while thousands are unable to get through. To ensure that more calls are answered and help Kids Helpline raise $1 million, please support the radiothon by giving generously to the Optus volunteers around the ground. Don't forget also to log on to carltonfc.com.au, the official website of the Carlton Football Club, for all the latest news from the Navy Blues, including extensive player interviews, news and reviews. Why not purchase a Legend subscription and every game online and on demand through your PC. So check out carltonfc.com.au for your daily doses of blues. Make sure you take the time to come and have a look at the fantastic new season of gear that is now available in the Carlton shop here at Optus Oval. The Carlton shop will be open at half-time and following today's game, and all supporters are invited to come in and see the great Carlton merchandise on offer. Tune in to the Blues Club Corner every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. on Radio Sport 927. We get player interviews, competitions and much more. Don't forget also to be sure you visit the Carlton Gaming Room and Bar when you're here at the Oval. The social club will be operating until well after the final siren today, so why not enjoy a post-game beverage before heading home? And there are still some last-minute tickets available for the Brett Ratton testimonial tonight. This will be supporters' last chance to pay tribute to our triple best and fairest winner.
Welcome back to Optus Oval, whereas the second half is fast approaching with the West Coast kicking 4 goals, 4 in that quarter. Carlton kicking 4 goals, 5. So the margin reduced from 6 points to 5 at half-time. It's been a very interesting contest. Tony, there's a few clouds around. We may get a shower later on, but what have you made of the Carlton comeback in that second quarter?
Well, it all came from midfield. Simon Fletcher on the wing was just fantastic. We can see here Beaumont, this was early in the game. We thought he did drop the ball, but no, it never made contact with the ground. And a good finish. This man, Camporelli, Scott Camporelli's been fantastic. 17 possessions and 2 goals. Played a lot on Ben Cousins, so he had to tighten up. But then Cousins in the second quarter had a lot of it. And Andrew Merrington, he's had 13 possessions, but his ruck work and the way that he's pushed forward has put a lot of pressure on West Coast. That's Camporelli's second goal. Again, Whitnell and Hick want to set up a couple of goals just by their competitive nature. Michael Mansfield, well, he got the Bronx cheers from the Carlton supporters, but when you kick a goal, gee, they can change quickly, Matty, and that's what they did when he put that goal through.
West Coast Eagles did appear during that second quarter they were going to run away, but more of an even performance, and no one really standing out in this first half for the West Coast Eagles.
No, there's not, and we just said Andrew Williams kicked 2 early goals. That was a very good goal as the handball put him under enormous pressure. And here he is, Quinton Lynch. That is a great goal because the one thing, I think he's about 6'2" or 3", and he is built very heavily, and the way he got up off ground level was fantastic. As I said, Ben Cousins, I thought Camporelli had the better of that duel, but he got the ball in long here. I thought Phil Matera hasn't been used too well today by Johnny Worsfold. On the bench, I think he's a dangerous player. Might only have 5 possessions, but kick you 2 or 3 goals. And then we can see Fletcher snapping over his shoulder. Brett Ratton was the man on that occasion, didn't do his job, didn't put enough time at the centre bounce. At that crumb to him. And on that occasion, we can see David Haynes, who's been very good and very busy in that second quarter.
As we take a look at the half-time stats, contested possession is something we were looking at the start of the game. This might tell the story, but at the moment it tells you nothing, 65 apiece.
No, the big one there is centre breaks. If you can have a look at that, 10-2, and that's where Carlton have been so good. Not in the history of their club, but they have had some brilliant centre bounce clearance players. Ratton was being good under there. Plunker was good in the first quarter. If they can keep that dominance, well, it might just get them back in this game and get them across the line.
Let's go down to Francis Leach on the boundary.
Corey McKernan looked like a very sad man walking across the ground there at half-time in the tracksuit. It doesn't look like he'll resume. The Blues have never gone through a season without winning a game here at Princes Park. They've only got one more after this against Port Adelaide.
Fans here at Optus, they're on their feet. They were trailing by 5 points at half-time, 6 points at quarter-time. They've turned it around in this third quarter. They lead by 4 points. Couple of terrific marks in that third quarter by Matthew Lappin, but at three-quarter time, Carlton have wrested the lead away from the West Coast Eagles, leading by 4 points. Michael Mansfield, making a hero of himself here this afternoon, has 2, as does Camberelli, Merrington and Beaumont. For West Coast, Williams has got 2 singles to the rest of the players, rounded out there by Favola, who Tony Shaw thinks may be a very important player in this fourth quarter. As Wayne Britton, he's been under the pump all season. There's been many articles written about him, a lot said about this Carlton team, a lot said about Stephen Kernahan, but no better player this afternoon, Tony Shaw, than Scott Camberelli.
Well, look, I just can't believe the West Coast Eagles have dropped the tag on Scott Camberelli. I think if Bradley and Camberelli play well, normally Carlton win. And today he's just been brilliant. 26 possessions, 2 goals. He's just had too much space to work in. And what he does is he loves to use the ball. One thing he can do is use the ball. He can also show courage like that. We don't see a lot of times. He's not a crunch player underneath the ball, but he's a very smart player, can find space. And if you use him up and he can get enough possession, 26 possessions the three-quarter time, I tell you, Carlton win more games when he dominates than anybody else in their team.
Yes, they've let him run with Cousins. Cousins has had 20 possessions, but Carlton got the better of that, Jules. We take a look at the three-quarter time match stats, Tony.
Well, the uncontested possessions, I think Carlton just ran a lot harder, and again, I give credit to the youngsters out of defence. They've stopped them from kicking a big enough score, West Coast, but they've had 35 possessions more uncontested, and that was even at half-time.
Fletcher's been one of those players that I'd like to give a bit of credit to.
Yep.
He's been terrific.
Well, let's go down to the boundary with Francis Leach. He's with Robert Wiley from the West Coast Eagles.
Robert, you're going to have to find a way to goal, aren't you? 14, 15 goals will probably win it for you.
Yeah, well, we had a few chances going forward, but we just didn't make most of it, so we certainly have to have our forward line functioning much better.
It's been almost 10 years since you've won here, so it's a golden opportunity, isn't it?
We've got a chance, so if we want it enough, we'll win it.
Thanks a lot, Robert.
Yes, certainly last week I saw the West Coast headed by Sydney. They were gone for all money. Sydney had all the momentum, led by